Want to thank Chairman Grassley for calling this hearing. I think it is so important that this committee does this work, and I wish that this committee had addressed this before now, but certainly appreciate his leadership in doing this. I had the opportunity to travel with Senator Blumenthal, my friend across the aisle, to Israel after October 7th. And to echo his words, what we saw was unimaginable. Couldn't wrap my head around it. It was gut-wrenching. It was heartbreaking. It was just out of the bounds of what you thought anyone was capable of doing. And when we came home to see what then occurred on college campuses here, I could not have been more disgusted. Not only what happened, but what was allowed to happen at what some believe or consider to believe some of our most elite institutions. So I look at that and take a step back, and you think about what Jewish students dealt with. And bottom line, Jewish students should have never been prohibited from entering sections of the campus because of who they were. Yet that happened at UCLA. Jewish students should have never had to navigate a professor tweeting out that Hamas's barbaric attacks constituted, quote, such an amazing day, exclamation point. But that happened at Yale. Jewish students should have never had to experience a professor referring to Hamas attack as something that was, quote, exhilarating and energizing. But that happened at Cornell. And Jewish students should have never had to have tolerated comments such as that, quote, October 7th is going to be every day for you, end quote, or, quote, yes, Hamas, we love you. We support your rockets too, end quote. But that, among many other things, happened at Columbia. These schools and their administrations who tolerated this, who allowed this to happen, it's repulsive. And they brought shame on themselves. We have to take what we've learned from this, and we have to make sure that it never happens again. They've repeatedly proven that they deserve no benefit of the doubt at all in how they're going to handle anti-Semitism. I'm glad that both Congress and the Trump administration have said this is going to be a priority, and I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of a number of bills from the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act to Countering Anti-Semitism Act, amongst a number of others that are going to hit this head on. But I want to ask a couple of questions. Mrs. Lewin, I know that the Brandeis Center undertakes a great deal of research and legal advocacy in this space. But because of that, though, I'm interested in your view of what steps Congress actually needs to take to strengthen Title VI as it relates to combating anti-Semitism and just a hostile educational environment and those claims in courts. You know, is it a matter of simply adding discrimination based on the religion to the statute? Is it better to clarify what constitutes actual discrimination on the basis of race or national origin? Or do we need to codify the 2004 Marcus policy? What is it that we actually need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Thank you very much, Senator Britt. I think start off with adopting the IHRA definition, right? Let's codify the Executive Order 13899. Okay. That's really important because that will help us understand and recognize the difference between, as I've said, a legitimate political debate and the vilification of Jews. When you demonize, apply a double standard, or delegitimize not only individual Jews, but the Jewish collective, the Jewish nation state of Israel, that's not criticism of Israel similar to that leveled against any other country. We need that definition because we need to be able to start teaching our society how to define and understand the difference between the two. And then I do think we need to give whatever strength we can, as Senator Moody was saying, to make sure that we're holding accountable anybody who is violating Title VI, and that includes
removing federal funding.
Yes,
halting
exactly.
It. Stop. Why would we give you money if you were violating Title VI?
Correct, because what needs to be understood, as you said when you talked about the Marcus policy from 2004, is that when faith-based groups are targeted on the basis of their shared ancestry or ethnicity, that is a violation of Title VI. If you see groups that are being denied the equal access to educational opportunities because of their shared ancestry and ethnicity, so when you have folks on campus who are encircling Jews, spinning at Jews, cutting the Jews out, saying to the Jews, you're not welcome, not only in my club, you can't go through the encampment. I've had students who have told us that there are students who will get up, they won't sit next to them because they're a Zionist. They won't allow them in their plays because they're a Zionist. They won't include them in any of their activities. They are being shunned, they're being marginalized, and it is not a conversation about the Arab-Israeli conflict. I will just say, because it's one story that I think is important to be heard about how this is not a political
very
debate.
briefly. I know that Senator Britt's run out of her time, but
Go
if
ahead.
you'd like to
I
wrap
will.
that up
We can
very
do it at
briefly.
the end. In a different question, then I'll give that answer.
Okay,
I hope somebody gives her an opportunity to say that.
I hope.